Hey, this is Steve.
This is Jeff.
This is Neil.
And this is Andrew.
Hey, welcome to Live from Midgar. This is episode 42, and we
Indeed.
got some great people here today. We got Bandy Keith and Andrew. We all know Andrew. Andrew is a great player. Today, I actually thought Andrew Pierce would get first, but ended up, due to tie breaks, for the
Sad
first
times.
time, went down to the third tie break, which was damage done. Or something like that.
Second tiebreak.
Second
Damage
tiebreak.
received.
Second damage received, off by half a point of damage on average per game.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew Pierce got second because of
I
that.
got third.
I shouldn't have scooped that game.
Oh, you got third.
I should have
Yeah,
hit
I
him.
was very-
Oh, so you
very-
suck.
Very tilted. because,
Okay.
I faced Terrell in the finals. He was 3-0, but he got paired down against me because I was 2-1.
Mhm.
And I beat him, but then he still got second, and I
Yeah.
got third.
So,
So, sad
Terrell,
times.
due to tie breaks, he got second. Second tie break lost to Ryan Chen because on the second tie break he lost by 0.5 damage done on average per game.
Yep.
Crazy.
Jeff Curran, I believe, was pretty close.
I went 2-2.
You went 2-2.
I was
Okay.
fifth.
You were average.
Quite average. Still
Mediocrity.
Still learning that deck.
But he definitely comes in first for looks because that Bandit Keith, that headband and all that stuff, it's pretty inspiring.
Really
Hey.
pulls it all together.
And to be
I really tie the room together.
Yeah.
and to be fair, I believe out of us, Peter Kim didn't come and stuff like that. So I believe
What a scrub.
Jeff Curran today was the only one to have been qualified to nationals. So I bet you're pretty excited about
Congrats.
going to
Quite
nationals.
so. Quite so, yeah.
All right. You excited to go?
I am. Oh, man.
You
That's
going to
gonna
win
be
it?
Exciting. We'll do my best.
All right. I hope you do, Jeff.
That
Same-
sounded super enthusiastic.
I like to be modest. I'm going to do my best.
All right.
You know?
So, Neil, how does it feel? You're sitting at a table where everyone went to, or has gone to, or will go to nationals, except yourself.
It's okay.
Thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
I love you at least.
Put you on the spot.
So you can only go 5-0 so many times in a local qualifier and get smashed by this guy the next round.
Godspeed, Andrew.
And then, I've got a kid. That's my excuse.
All right. That's
Listen.
fair enough.
The thing is,
I get to
that
play
you
one.
are sitting at this table, though.
I get to
so.
that's also that, and I was commentating, which is cool. But I get 1.5 days to play, and so if I can at least keep pace with you guys, I generally feel okay with myself. And generally, I'm keeping pace with you guys, so I feel okay with myself.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm okay with that.
All
Fuck
right.
you, Steve.
Hey, man, I went to nationals.
And lost.
Hey, out of our group, I did the best. All right.
That's true.
All right. So, anyways, today we had the tournament. As I said, Ryan got first. Congratulations, Ryan. He is my favorite Chinese person. So, congratulations
Is
to
he the
Ryan.
only
Chen.
Chinese person you know?
Fairly close. I know a couple, but Ryan's my favorite. Second,
I'm sorry, you others. Hopefully, you don't watch this.
I'm sorry, you other 1.2 billion people. All right. So Ryan Chen.
Ryan's the best. The end.
Yeah, it's over.
It's decreed.
Ryan Chen got first. Second place went to Terrell Thompson. He got first last week in the double XB. Congratulations. Got second this time around. And then Andrew Pierce, you got third. So, good
Do
job.
we even know what our season standings are right now?
I think Terrell's up there.
I think
Probably.
Terrell's
I think
very
he's
high
up
up
first,
there.
yeah.
Andrew Pierce is up there. Miles did not make it today, so he'll be slowly falling off if he continues to not come. But I think the clear people who are ahead is you and Terrell, actually.
Is John G up there?
John G is not like way up there. There's like it's
Yeah,
there's
a
a little
lot
bit
of-
I think there's like
grouped, right? It's
5
a
of
little
you
bit
guys
grouped.
right now. But
Yeah.
I think you and T now are probably
But Terrell and you are the ones that are
Yeah,
ahead.
because I've gotten third place both
A
times.
lot.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So, anyways, I personally am rooting for Jeff Curran to win this season, but you are failing me.
Sorry.
It's an embarrassment.
Yeah,
I think.
I hate you for that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Strong words.
Because at Geeky Villain currently, for first place winning the season, you get $500 to go to Nationals as a sponsorship. And second place, you get $200. And third place, you get $100. And so I would really like to see one of the...
Fantastic pricing.
Yeah, I would really like to see Jeff Curran or, Peter or one of the people who currently have national spots, qualifications to get this and go and do a really good job.
Yeah, I
kick
really
some
want
ass.
it. I really want it. I'm poor as hell.
I mean, yeah, that's free money.
Straight up, yeah.
That's free money.
One of the nice things about this prizing too is that even if you aren't actually qualified, it allows you to
Go to the
attend the
Dark
Dark Crystal Cups,
Cups.
so you still have like that last chance qualifier
to get
and
in.
Maybe
Oh
you get
boy,
it, you
I
know?
can't
Yeah.
wait to go to the Dark Crystal Cup.
You can't go.
Yeah, I learned that yesterday.
Oh, you're not allowed to. Yeah, you're not allowed to. Attend 'cause you're
Yeah,
qualified.
people who are already qualified cannot go to the Dark Crystal Cup. You don't need to anyways. Why would you show up with your
Prizes?
amazing...
Practice.
Prices.
Yeah, but you don't really want to practice and be showing off your deck too much. I guess it
day
doesn't matter.
before.
Yeah.
It's a day before, too.
Yeah.
I think you should rest anyways. But anyways, enough
Yeah.
talk about that. What were some of the... So Neil and I were commentating while these two were obviously playing. For us, the deck... I wanted to talk about some of the decks that really, took the spotlight. And I think it pretty much... I had to say there were two Golbez decks today.
There were.
Andrew Pierce was playing his janky deck, and TJ Braden was
Jank
also playing a janky deck, both with Golbez's.
Opus 9 Golbez.
Opus 9 Golbez. So why do you think that Golbez works? Why do you continue to push with this janky deck?
So I think that Golbez requires a very specific build around. You need to be running almost all forwards, and you want to have a lot of very high-costed, impactful forwards. And I think once you do that and you start hitting, you just get a lot of value. Pretty much if I can just pitch a card from my hand and tap him and put like a Yizmat into play, which happens often, I pretty much just tapped him and put a Yizmat from my hand into play for free. Then I get activate him again and do it again. Like I just build a huge board with huge forwards that are very impactful pretty quickly when I'm going off.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was pretty scary. You'll be able to see it back because we did tape a couple of these matches today, so they'll be back up on YouTube soon.
Yeah, hopefully the store owner Edward will be able to post at least some of the raw ones or something. He's saying no right now, but we'll see. I do believe John and Terrell's match will actually be commentated by them. Going back and watching their own games. They'll be watching their own games, going back and commentating what they could have done better and stuff like that, and that will be posted for sure.
And what they were thinking,
And
that's
then-
cool, I like that.
Yeah, and then hopefully Edward will be able to find a way to get just the raw one-ups or something like that. He's saying no. Give me the middle finger.
You're number one, Steve.
But
He's doing this at you,
But it will be interesting. It will be the first time Geeky Villain the tournaments will get posted up and for a review and watch some of the plays.
I'm looking forward to watching them.
Yeah, hopefully your deck. It actually finally recorded your deck going off, like actually
Awesome.
working.
Yeah.
Because people who have been watching the streams got to watch you play that Golbez deck.
Last week,
Not
and
working.
It just not.
It
yeah.
didn't work.
And it was
didn't
against
really work
my-
game one today either.
Yeah.
It
So-
didn't work
And-
too well game one.
No.
Yeah.
And Ice is not a great matchup, I think. So it was just double bad. Like I just got demolished last week, and it looked bad.
Yeah. What was your? What do you think? What card was your MVP? If you had to pick one card, what would it be?
Golbez.
It's a Golbez deck.
I mean, it's a Golbez deck, but I mean,
I
there's
think
a card
we
that
know the answer.
inhibits
I think
it.
Rim is
Yeah.
probably my MVP.
Yeah.
That card just helps me go off so much, especially since I'm running Mog 6 and Bannon. And so it just helps me get a lot of extra value. And then especially against Ice, which I think is one of my worst matchups, they just can't kill it. And so it really helps keep me in the game against them.
They also can't freeze you down, which was one of the
Yeah.
things Steve and I were talking about a lot was like, who's the target? You had like 3 targets up. So you've got like Golbez, Rem, and then Bannon and or Mog. And it's
Jake
like,
was in there,
and Jake was in there. So, but there were a couple of them was like, well, who does he freeze? And it's like, well, if you freeze the cards that are going to get you activations, they're going to help you draw those cards. It's like, well, Rem's just going to untap them.
Yep.
And like, oh no, or you freeze Rim, and so you freeze Rim and one other, and like you respawn with the Rim to untap, and then Rim just untaps at the end of the turn, and like no harm, no foul. It felt like watching those last couple games as you were going off. It just felt like Terrell was like between a rock and a hard place. It was like, I want to use this ability because this is what I need, and it was like I just don't no. I'll just attack and not trigger Orphan because it does me no good.
Rem is a nightmare in Limited, so it's nice to see her getting some applications in Constructed as well.
I think she's quite good.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that we have not seen a resurgence of like Opus 2 Emperor, especially with Gestalt or Emperor Gestalt to search for him. It's just like these decks. I mean, that's the other question: is how meta are these decks? Are they just tearing up a local meta, or are they good on a national or world stage? So it'll be interesting to see. But I'm surprised we haven't seen the addition of those types of things to prevent those, because that would just that would ruin poor Rem.
The whole deck, really.
And Golbez, just be like, you can't draw cards, you can't play Golbez.
I can't kill it because I'm running Opus 9 Kane and I'm running Fosoya and Cloud of Darkness.
But still.
So I have ways to kill it, but it's expensive to do so.
Yeah. There is enough of talk about the janky deck. We do have a person who is playing a very meta deck, and that's sitting here right with us with Jeff Curran. He writes posts for...
I write articles for FFTCGCrystarium.com. I write limited content, the article series How to Win Limited.
Yeah.
Don't
very
play
good.
it.
Good articles.
They're great articles, man.
Very great articles. You should check them out. He's
you.
also part of Team Flat Earth. I believe they're a group of people such as Jarrell, who's in
Jared Wallace,
in
we've got
Japan.
Robert Meadows, we've got James Greaves, all sorts of people. We've got members from all corners of the globe.
And I am an honorary member now. Yay. I declared so. Hey, man, those pats are weird.
They're supposed to be.
They're very flat, just like the Earth.
All right. All right. So Jeff today was playing Water Wind.
I was playing the deck that my teammate Jared Wallace won at Masters Yokohama last week. It's a very mill and control-oriented version of Water Wind. It runs 17 summons, 14 forwards, and it is likely the first true control deck that has been viable in FFTCG.
Yeah.
That has won like a huge tournament. There have been some other mill decks played, and they're okay, but I think this one, the inclusion of the big Famfrit and Porum makes it so you only have to run 2 colors, and it's just much stronger.
Cutting down
way.
to 2 colors has been a huge benefit for that deck. I played a lot against 4-color mill in the last season, and I felt playing Earthwind that I was able to just outmill that deck, which is not where you want to be.
Yeah, because I was playing 4-color, and our matchups felt pretty terrible for me, really. Just terrible.
Yeah.
Like, you just outmilled me. Like, I even had 5 archers and ninjas killing your
It'd be great. He'd
Rikus.
kill my Riku 5 times in a game, and I'd just Luminous Puma back, Aparuru back, Minfilia back, Minor
and still
back.
outmill me. It was pretty bad.
Yeah. Being able to get multiple activations off of Fina and Diabolos were huge for that as well.
Yeah. So how do you feel you played with the deck? How did you perform? What were some of the things that you felt that could have went better or not? And
that deck has a huge learning curve, and I still am attempting to master it. It is very, very unforgiving. If you make one mistake early on in your build, it just snowballs tremendously. If you can't rush to 5 backups, it becomes very difficult for you. So it's got just a huge wall that I'm still trying to surmount. Yeah. Okay. But I think that the rewards are going to be there once I master that deck.
Okay. All right. So you think you're going to continue with this deck towards going into nationals, or do you think it's just there so that you can know what's out there, what the meta is, and so what is out there?
I definitely want to put more work into it. I'm not willing to write it off yet. Okay. I want to
Play some more.
You're just
Yeah,
considering it. It's in consideration. It's a contender.
Definitely looking at options. Still, I mean, the meta's still completely up in the air right now.
Yeah, we still got a number of months before Nat, so
October.
Yeah,
it's
lots
in
of time.
October,
Lots
yeah.
of time.
So plenty of time. And then Nationals, right after Nationals, November is the next release, right? They're having another release right
10?
after for 10.
Opus 10, yeah.
Opus 10. It's right
comes
after
out in
Nationals,
November.
right?
Will that be legal then for Worlds?
Yeah, I believe so because
Has
last year
Worlds
that's
been
what they
announced?
did it.
Yeah, that's
The date for Worlds has that been announced?
I mean, it's
I
towards
guess
the end of the year.
not that I know of, actually. So
Yeah, I don't think.
I
so.
would assume probably not. They did the same thing last year. Opus.
It was valid last year
Oh,
for
Yeah,
Worlds.
it was legal for
It
Worlds.
was
Yeah,
legal.
man.
So they just released the set, and then it was legal for Worlds before the meta was completed and stuff. Andrew and I and Miles and a lot of people, even you, were part of this. When we talked about it on the podcasts before how a completely new set where a meta hasn't formed, we don't know what's going on, is completely valid for tournament play.
And
for
having it
Worlds.
for Worlds is a great way to showcase a new set. Really sell it for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
I'm not certain
it
if I
can be good. I'm
if
not
I like it or
for
not.
but
It's probably fine. I'm not certain if I like it or not.
I think it's okay. I don't think it's the greatest idea, but it's fine. It's acceptable. Anyways, so we have a lot of things going on. We currently had a tournament. Gen Con is going on. We had tournaments at Gen Con. There was a tournament in Germany. So we want to talk about some of the winners and the losers and all that stuff of it. At Gen Con, I believe the two people who were qualified to get into Worlds was Cody Snodgrass.
He won the constructed.
He won the constructed portion.
with mono
yesterday
ice.
with
Yep.
mono ice.
Okay, and then the limited formatting tournament sealed
Today
into
we had
draft.
sealed with a top cut of top 8 into draft, which Kyle Peters won.
Yeah, so
Congrats to both of them.
Congrats,
Congrats,
to
guys.
both of them. They will be our North America representatives to the Worlds. There's still some chances left. There is the Arizona Crystal Cup and the Dark Crystal Cup to qualify for Worlds and Nationals. I believe national spots, there's going to be quite a few left. There's 3 spots in
4.
Arizona and then 4 spots. 4? I mean,
Yeah,
I
top
don't
4.
I don't count the Worlds because the first place gets a World
Sure, yeah,
qualification.
I see what you mean.
So, 4 spots, fine. 4 spots in Arizona and 4 spots in Dark Crystal Cup. And I think there's some local qualifiers, but definitely not here. There's no more local qualifiers here.
So we have 5 spots left in for Worlds, the Arizona Crystal Cup, and then the 4 for then the top 4 for Nationals.
Yes. So there's 5 spots left in North America right now for Worlds. So, Jeff, I'm pretty sure you wanted to talk about some of the interesting aspects that happened in, was it the Germany one, or was
In
it
recent
It was
tournaments.
Gen
Gen
Con
Con? Okay,
yesterday.
so Gen
Yeah.
Con. Please fill us in. I actually don't know too much about this. I did see your post about it.
Yeah.
But it was just a ruling post. So please indulge us.
So yesterday during round 2, Max Ritter was playing against I forget the other guy's name. Max Ritter flips Odin off EX Burst and chooses to break Earthistola, the one that's played in Scions, who can't be broken by summons or abilities. Neither player remembered that. The Scions player put Ishtola into his break zone, and the stream immediately lit up and said, "Oh, you can't do that." Unfortunately, there's a time delay. Nobody was able to get to the match before 4 turns had passed.
4 turns.
4 turns.
4 turns.
1, 2, 3, 4. So it was back to the Scions player's turn. 2 full rounds of turns later. So a million decisions had gone by, and they simply placed Ishtola back onto the field, which is not how the floor rules say that you're supposed to do that. If you can perform a full rewind, you perform a full rewind. Otherwise, you simply continue as is.
With warnings given.
With a warning given to the player who, it would have been the Scions player who put it into the break zone, and then a caution given to the other player who did not catch it.
Yep.
What's the difference between a warning and a caution?
Not much.
I
Not much.
I don't know offhand. A warning is much more serious. A caution is just like
Like,
Hey, be
bad.
careful, you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
But a warning is like a serious.
Probably the slap
how
on
many
the wrist
how many
versus the
warnings
official,
till you
like,
get a game loss?
There's no.
We don't know. Okay, fair enough.
There's no official.
I honestly think warning and caution would probably. I don't think it would unless it's severe, right? It's like continuous build up.
A warning could escalate a further.
If you already have a
infraction.
history.
So so if you have there's not really a way to track those between tournaments. So if you have a warning already in a tournament and you commit another infraction later, you might incur a harsher penalty that's still within the guidelines. So they
Fair
might,
enough.
yeah. So if it's like you could get a game loss for this, or you could get a DQ for this, they might be more inclined to disqualify you.
Fair enough. Okay.
Fair enough. So yeah, so they rewound, played the Shola, and they played it out. Did Max end up losing that match?
He did, yeah, and he had played Fasoya in the meantime. That if that had come down while Ishtola was on the field, very likely would have chosen the Ishtola. So it was just a huge swing in the Scions player's favor. Wow. And I mean, yeah, the Ishtola shouldn't have been dead in the first place, but.
The
It's just
decisions
not
are
how
yeah.
you fix things.
Yeah. It's not fair, but still.
We've got guidelines, and we just have to adhere to them every single time.
Yeah. So why was it approved? Did both players just agree to bring the Shola back, or was it like the floor judge?
It was a judge decision.
It was
came
a judge
over
direction.
and-
Wow.
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
See-
Shame on you, Judge.
See, in this case, I understand that the rules say that because you can't do a full rewind, you have to play it, as
to
is.
continue, yeah.
I see that, and so I think that is what should have happened because those are the current rulings. But I kind of have mixed feelings on what the ruling should be, because it could be, like you bring it back into play, and then it could be as if you simply didn't attack or block with it. I know there's other decisions that are made because of it.
Well, I mean,
It's
just not
affects
fair.
so many
Yeah.
decisions, even if it had been one turn.
Yeah, because
Okay,
that
fair.
Y'shtola
Yeah.
is dead now, right? So your decisions, you may have something to be able to kill the Y'shtola. Like, let's say you had
Fasoya.
the Fasoya
Yeah.
or Bahamut, right?
Yeah.
Let's say it was a fire deck. I don't know, right? I'm just bullshitting here. Let's say you have the Bahamut that does 10k to the 4. You can use that on Y'shtola and
Yeah,
do 10k and kill it, right? But he might have discarded this Bahamut, right after, because the Y'shtola was no longer there.
Yeah.
That decision cannot be reverted back anymore, right?
I mean, was the Y'shtola the only card on the field at the time? I mean, like, was there another valid target for Odin EX?
Well, it would have just not resolved. Or, I mean, it would have resolved and nothing would have happened.
Yeah.
But there was, I believe, a Papalimo.
Yes.
That was another.
But I mean, more
she,
about just,
she is
paying
she is a
attention.
legal target.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so I think even in that case, you shouldn't. Even if I believed that that the rule should be that you bring back the Y'shtola, I don't think instead you should change the target, because that's
No,
even
no.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's messy.
It is, but I think the judging was incorrect.
Yeah,
Because-
I agree with that.
Yeah, because the guy probably discarded stuff, could have discarded stuff that could
Yeah.
have impacted this the.
He could have actually
state
killed
of
the
play.
Y'shtola.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
used it on something else, and now that Y'shtola comes back and, oh no, he's got 5 Scions and things get ugly.
This
Yeah.
is why it's important to know what your cards do.
That's very true.
Yep.
You
Yep.
should always know
And,
what cards
and
do.
what your opponent's cards do.
yeah,
Yep.
you should know what cards do.
I mean, the rules specifically state that you need to know what your opponent's cards do. I mean, you have to help maintain a game state.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of this kind of
Real quick, to their credit, I mean, this is the first major issue that we've had with judge staff. So I don't want to say the judging is a shit show or anything. It's been top notch most of the time. Just this one hiccup, and I think it's been addressed. I'm pretty sure that the person understands, and we're moving forward, and everybody knows.
Even when I'm iffy on the ruling, so far they've been following the rules.
Yeah,
Even if
yeah,
I'm
yep.
iffy on what that is, you
Yeah.
know. So
Okay.
Everybody makes mistakes. Hiccups happen.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah, this is-
got to
this-
make sure
this
that
is
we
the first
address it
time.
and that we understand and move forward and learn.
yeah.
Fair enough. There is another mishap going on, actually. Speaking of, there is, I think this is the first ban, like a person ban.
I believe it's also the first disqualification.
Yeah, they're not banned; they're suspended.
whatever, banned for 365 days, suspended for 365 days, whatever. A full year ban, full year suspension for a player that is currently anonymous, and I do feel like it can be anonymous. That's not an issue here, but it's the first of its kind. Has been disqualified, and this was at Germany Grand Open. This incident was due to marking of cards, from what it sounded like.
This is a bit of hearsay, but from what I understand, several of the cards in the deck that were EX burst were marked somehow, whether they were old sleeves and just a little raggedy, and they just happened to be on the EX. We don't know. Maybe I don't know if they were like dog-eared or something, and clearly every single one of the EX was.
It's really hard to prove
know.
intention, so we probably should ignore that part of it.
I mean, if every single one of the EX was dog-eared, that would be pretty obvious.
Yeah,
but again, since we don't know, it's hard for us to tell.
Yeah. Either way, I heard it was some sort of marking of the decks where the judge and the TO felt like a disqualification was in order, and the Square Enix decided there should be a 365 ban suspension.
That, I believe, was informed by, from what I hear, the player was a bit combative about the disqualification and had a history of
being combative with the judges.
Was it history?
A history of just not.
He was being a dick. He was just being a dick.
I don't know about that. A poor history with Square Enix staff. Let's say that.
Okay.
So part of my question here is that you had said that we don't really have a way to track from tournament to tournament. Was it a history throughout just that tournament, or was it a history?
That's not how I understand it. I believe it's
over a number of
continuous
tournaments.
history. Yeah.
Okay.
But not. We have no way to track cautions and warnings.
Okay.
Is what I mean. But I think.
They just had interacted probably enough, like they just knew.
Maybe an attitude issue.
Okay, cool.
Is what I understand.
Well, that was very unfortunate, but it sounds like the judges did what they needed to do there, and I support that.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the post from the TCG Europe that they were talking about. They talked about how they would not like, the player's name has been recorded, and put has been recorded, but has not been released to the public.
And I agree with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let's just read this part right here. The evidence that we have about the condition of the player's sleeves, in addition to the behavior that the player exhibited to judges/members of staff at the event, were the reasons why we came to this decision.
Yeah. The decision
Totally
to
fair,
come to such a harsh penalty was not an easy one. However, for the integrity of the game, we feel it was most appropriate penalty. We could apply the evidence that we have about one condition of the player's sleeves. Okay.
If I can offer some advice, bring new sleeves for every single day that you're going to play it at an event. Re-sleeve your deck every single day that you're going to play it at an event. Europe particularly has been giving out a lot of game losses for damaged sleeves or dirty sleeves or old sleeves. Just protect yourself out there.
Yeah.
New sleeves every time.
Yep. Yeah, I do agree. Definitely having, new sleeves will, people can't, pick on you or anything like that. You might have just really didn't have.
Also,
just
they
old
feel
sleeves.
nice.
They feel nice.
Yeah.
That's very true. So it's unfortunate that it happened that way, but 365 day ban though. A
full year.
Yeah, a full year ban though. That's I don't know.
That is pretty rough, and with it being so late into the season, that it does suck for that person. But I mean, just based on what I'm hearing, just based on the evidence that we have, it is what it is.
I feel like he probably was like a huge dick to get a full year ban. Right, I mean, because it wasn't just the marking of the sleeves, right? It was like the behavior they said.
Yes.
So I feel like he probably was like a huge dick.
He's probably.
Can you bring up the post again? I wanted to see if it was, if there was a particular grade that he is. Any Square Enix or Hobby Japan tournament.
Yeah, it's just Square Enix or Hobby Japan. So he can go to locals and play locals as long as it's not like a local qualifier or any Square Enix or Hobby Japan sponsored event. Yeah. So, for instance, so
that's probably anything grade 2 or higher.
Yeah. So anything.
And locals are grade.
Grade 1 are locals.
Okay,
like,
and then
like
grade-
what we played today is grade 1. Local qualifiers and Crystal Cups are grade 2 events. Nationals and Worlds are grade 3 events.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean,
So he could still play in his locals, but he just can't do anything that would, qualify him for major tournaments. So
No road to Worlds Zidanes for this boy.
Yeah, I mean, and they even added the last paragraph that they put here was specifically, we would like to remind players, attendees of events that poor behavior to other attendees, judges, or members of staff can come with appropriate actions. This includes written and online formats. So I mean, like, legitimately, they're clearly. I mean, it seems like it's a little bit more than just what from a gameplay standpoint. It definitely seems like they're trying to make sure that that it seems like the harsher action here didn't necessarily come from a potential in cheating, because obviously I don't know. They've made their call. They didn't necessarily say he cheated, but they disqualified him.
Right.
And I think the ban is the more important, because it seems like bottom line here is that someone crossed a line from a confrontational standpoint.
Yep.
And that's where
The ban
things
came
got
from.
real.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where the ban came from. So that's what it sounds like. The cheating caused a disqualification, and then him being a dick, or he or she actually, being a royal dick, probably caused the 365-day ban.
Be nice to people.
Yeah.
Good sportsmanship is important.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I don't know why people are being dicks. We're a good community. I mean,
Take care
But
of
I
your
mean-
mental health, everyone.
But I mean, that's one of the things you have to remember, though, is that sometimes, I mean, we don't know this guy's situation, this guy-girl situation. I don't know who it is. But it's one of those situations where, maybe there's a bad day. Maybe there's a lot of other stuff going on.
I mean, don't take it on other people,
well, I mean,
though.
but that's what I'm saying, though, is just like, that's the other thing, too, is if she is legitimately not, I could understand that sometimes being accused of cheating, especially if you're not, can put some people on the defensive.
Yes.
And so, like I said, I don't know whether there was whether there was or not. That's not for me to determine. A disqualification was made by the judges, and in the end, based on the way that fell down, after the fact, is what kind of constituted that. And so we just have to remember that people are human too. And while those might not be the best actions, that we just have to remember that there's probably more to the story than we want to believe.
Well, also,
Okay, that's
based
fair.
on what Jeff was saying, is that this person has a history. And so it wasn't just that tournament. It was multiple infractions, maybe some things that were said or done online, maybe at other tournaments that kind of just added up to this person. And then when they were combative on top of the disqualification, it just kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back.
I mean, it could also be the
all
straw that broke his
speculative.
camel.
We
again.
don't- yeah,
all,
once again,
all
all-
speculative.
yeah, we don't
So,
know.
we don't.
Anyways,
know.
bottom line is just remember, if the judges are coming to talk to you about something that could be the potential infraction, just remember is that they're seeing something, and that they're not necessarily. I'm sure that they generally don't come at you with an accusatory like "stop cheating, you loser." So talk to the people.
Remain calm.
Remain calm.
Doesn't help your situation.
Yeah, try and talk to them and try and figure out what's going on. And maybe there's something you can come to. And maybe like I said, I don't know the full situation, so I'm just going to say, if you get into that situation yourself, just remember that there are people just trying to do the work that they've been asked to do, and that they're people that deserve respect and to be treated nicely, because I don't think they probably are going to come after you in that same type of manner.
Correct.
Well, anyways, enough about dicks and all these weird stuff, unfortunate events and all this. But let's talk about the things that we really like, and that's the Final Fantasy game itself and the current meta. Let's talk about the current meta, which I'm sure we all agree currently Water, Wind, and probably Mono Ice is
I think
on
those are the top two.
Those are the top two decks out there that we all agree on. And maybe we can discuss some of what we think about why they're so in the meta, and discuss maybe some counter stuff, and just talk about, gameplays and cards that are really interesting that we can play that might be viable in a tournament and such. So, Jeff, I know you previously coming before you came onto this podcast, you said you actually had something, or I'm thinking maybe you don't. You might be lying. I don't know, but you cannot reveal this information because Team Flat Earth has it. I'm actually really excited to see that when that does come out, because no one has figured it out yet.
So
we've been talking about potential counters. We think
Yeah.
we might have
You might
come
have
up with
come up with
something
something.
for Windwater, but I think honestly most of us would rather just play Windwater. The problem, the problem with it is that attacking that deck specifically oftentimes
Is to your detriment.
damages your matchups versus other decks. And so if you are gunning for one deck specifically, it can be very difficult to deal with the rest of the field.
yeah, because now you have
Yeah.
cards that
Yeah.
are not good in your other matchups, so
Yeah.
you see more of them.
And so I think that's one of the reasons that Ice is so good right now is because it inherently has very good tools against what Windwater is looking to do, so it doesn't have to hedge its bets towards that, and it can put in cards specifically for other matchups.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. So that's why you were still saying that Windwater is a contender in your book for the Nationals.
We will.
Yeah. So what about you, Neil? How do you feel about the top two decks being in the meta, and counter ideas, or what would you like to see?
I like ice.
You do like ice. I
Ice
do know
is-
that. You
Ice
play.
is good.
Ice is
I-
nice.
Yeah, I play ice generally speaking in at least some portion of most of my decks.
It's true, he does.
Yeah, so I really like it.
Can confirm.
Can confirm. Yeah, I was not sold on Azure Dragonless Sea at the beginning of this. You
I
can
did
watch
not
back the
think it- yeah.
podcasts. I did not speak very very highly of it.
I didn't think it was good.
I made the Miles wall call. I'm willing to admit that was my blunder this season for sure. That card is. I have seen it do so much work in mono ice. I almost think it is hands down brought mono ice back into the forefront, because up until recently, I think Flantoto was one of the things that you almost had to run just to make ice more competitive, because you needed the ability to wipe that board. But the amount
And
of
the
just
CP advantage from the Flans was
exactly
incredible.
yeah. But the just the general the amount of advantage you gain by attacking with that dragon and drawing an ice card off the top with some of the new removal tools and stuff that we got now, like one cost Alara is just ridiculous. So just the ability to just blow those things up with just this like one cost, and then to because of the draw, you're pulling things like your orphans, you're pulling your Sephiroths, you're just churning those cards that are taking those high value cards that you need, especially with ice, because ice is one of those decks that does a lot of stacking. So ice gets better the more ice cards you have out. There's the cards like Laswell, there's the cards like Orphan, and so those types of cards you need to have that good base to be able to ramp. And I think that the ability to draw those cards off the top with that makes it really really good. It's sort of like what Vice Kings was trying to do in the beginning, by running two colors. And I think this card, even with Renoa, gives you the ability to potentially do roughly the same thing, a little bit more cost, but
being more consistent. 'cause
but
you
being
only
more
run
consistent
color.
because of it. Yeah, no, I think it's it's been hard for me to find counters. I think Win's pretty good. Discard, I don't think in like a discard type ice deck, I don't think it does very good against the kind of draw mechanic of ice. So I don't know. It's still early, so it's hard to say exactly what's going on. But I like ice. It's really good.
So are you gonna try to do? I know you built this Ice Earth deck, and I genuinely very much like that deck. You're running the Licurious, to grab your what is it, monsters.
Yeah.
You have Mist Dragons in there. You have Shantoto in there. While you have the power of the ice, which is the Sephiroths and the Edward to help you discard.
I've no Seph.
No Seph in there.
No Seph
I
in
thought
there.
you had the Sephiroth
I
in
don't.
there.
I'm running
So
three.
I'm
I'm
lying.
I'm running two veins.
Okay, you're running the veins and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Are you considering switching, moving from the Ice Earth into just mono ice? Are you considering that with so
Yeah.
much success that ice has seen?
Yeah, I think so.
Aren't you mono ice right now, or are you still running ice earth?
I'm running Ice Earth. I'm running an Ice Earth Taxes deck.
Okay.
And I've been having a lot of fun with it. It definitely needs some tweaks. I played against the Card Captor Zidane deck that Bambic was playing today. That won Epic Games
Local qualifier.
Local qualifier. And it played Zidane. And then I just got punched by the Zidane 7 times. And there was literally it was I have to hope that I draw. I draw my Glacia, or I do something to be able to stop that Zidane, and I don't have very many ways to do it. And every time I got rid of it, it was like, oh, look, I'll Phoenix him back. And I've got 5 cards in my hand. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to get hit again. So cool. It was just, it was way too slow, and I just had nothing to do to stop it. And so that's also one of the reasons why I think that either it needs to be adjusted or something needs to change, because against a fast aggro deck, it's going to get owned.
Interesting. Okay. Andrew Pierce, what about you?
So I'm kind of digging the meta right now. We do have our 2 clear. We have Mono Ice, and then we have Wind Water, kind of our top contenders. But we're seeing a lot of other kind of decks too. There was that Rydia Summon deck that placed pretty well at that big Japanese tournament, right?
At Yokohama, placed second, and then came up against a deck with 14 forwards and basically was half full of dead cards.
Yeah.
Auto lost to Jared.
Oops.
You have that deck. You have the new Jared's mill deck, which is a different take on Wind Water. It's less value based. It's control mill.
Yeah.
And then we had that one Japanese tournament with Agris Cascade. That one.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
so and I've been playing the new Golbez version, which is a very different deck, and
That's not part of the meta. Let's take that
well,
one.
it's not part of the, it's not part of the meta, but my point of these kind of more interesting decks that aren't run the same as other decks are being played and doing pretty decent. So I'm digging the meta the way it is right now. One question I have for Jeff is, with this new Jared Wind Water, do you think that version is better than our traditional Wind Water? I suspect people probably won't play as much just because there's such a high learning curve on it. But do you think it's better, or do you think it's a little worse, or about even?
I think it's dramatically better.
Dramatically better?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that a lot of decks have cards that are just dead against it. It preys on any deck that's playing traditional removal because it doesn't care about its forwards. It's a deck where it's a YRP deck where Pain is potentially the worst card in the deck. So it really plays on a different axis than anything else.
Does it
is used
run
to.
the searcher Pain?
It runs a single searcher Pain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you gotta get
You got to get the
Yuna and
Riku
Riku out.
Yuna.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was doing the 4-color mill, I ran 3 of that Pain because of how important I was. But I guess if you're running like Shinra or Brother, you don't need that as much. You're running 3 Rikus and 3 Yunas, right?
Correct.
All right, cool. When I switched and I'm doing a more traditional Wind Water, I went down to 2 each, but I'm running 3 Shinras though, so I'm very consistently will get that online. But for your deck, you just want to make sure you get them. So
Yeah, you have to get the Yuna out as early as possible so that you can start getting discounts on your Famfrits.
yeah,
It's just huge. Being able to play big Famfrit off of 5 backups is tremendous.
Yeah.
Or off 3 backups and then getting a Riku mill in as well.
yeah, because I was only running Cuckoo Lane was like last season kind of Wind Water version. They only had like the one water card, and then I kind of switched and I had like 2 points where they don't really poo poo, but they don't really matter for the Yuna. And so having so many more water cards, Yuna is much more important.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, significantly. Yeah, that's cool. So, what about some of the counters you think might be beneficial to be played in against to combat these meta decks, Water Wind, whether it be Jared's Water Wind deck or the traditional Water Wind deck and the Mono Ice? What do you think will be an interesting card?
So I think that with if people start playing more of the mill version, maybe we'll see a resurgence of Earth. Because Earth's got like Vanille. Maybe like Earth Wind with Magus Sisters and Vanille, just so it's harder to kill their forwards.
Goes on me deck.
Maybe you'll see some more monsters.
Really? Sorry, we're just laughing because Steve and I are currently working on a deck that does exactly that.
Maybe you'll see some more monsters. I know they die to big Famfrit, but they don't die to small Famfrit.
No, they
you
do
know.
not.
So maybe that will start coming back. We haven't seen any Mono Water just at all. I don't.
Yeah, that's one of the things that has completely dropped off.
Yeah.
Mono Water, we saw so much prevalence of it, right, during the Water Crystal Cup. You could not. So for the life of you, you could not not play a water deck during our Water Crystal Cup and the other Crystal Cups prior to Opus 9. Now we don't see any almost.
Is that due to Ice Fire 8 or the Ice Fire 6 deck, or what do you think caused water to just disappear?
I think Palom
Is it because YRP is just so much better?
I
think so.
Yeah, I think YRP with and getting the Palom access to get the Velophores, right? The Palom with the
extra
Velophore.
Velophores now.
Yeah.
You've got, Fina has always been particularly good
Yeah.
against that deck.
Yeah.
I honestly think Palom, surprisingly, a water card, made the Water Wind so much a better choice than just mono water, because once you have the Palom, you can start Veilophoring the fuck out of your opponents, right? Palom, Valifor, and then Palom dies and bring out another, Valifor, or Fina's always been good now. It just makes it so much better. I think that's why. It helps the mill too, right? The Valifor untaps your backups, so you can mill more. The Palom brings your Valifors back, so you can mill more.
Yeah.
So I think Palom is the one that made it.
I think
that
we've
way.
seen a little bit of mono wind this season, but not a lot. And I do think it's worse than wind water, just because you don't have Valfor. Like, both.
And Palom also is, I think, the clear
decider.
I think it's probably. I literally want to say Palom is the most impactful card of Opus 9.
Easily.
To that point,
easily.
I think. Jeff's looking at me like this fucker's weird.
I'd argue that Famfrit.
The big Famfrit?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's Palom because it affects multiple. Like, you see the Zidane, right? Look at that the Cardcaptor Zidane deck, right? That deck prior to John Galaran was running it, it wasn't as good, but that Palom made it so much better to bring out your 4-drop Phoenixes, right? You have the Water Wind. Now your Valifors are so much more easy. It's just easier access. Palom just makes these certain decks come out and just shine and makes it better.
Because Palom, that's one of the things is like the key to water has always been one of those, like, build a bunch of backups and then just kind of blow stuff up with summons. And so to be able to now cast twice as many summons off, because that was one of the things. Is like you only have 50 cards, and so now that you have cards like Aeolus or Iodolus, and Palom. God, I always get the two of them mixed up. But if you have those cards,
hey, have I been saying the names wrong this whole time?
Porom.
So I kept on saying Palom.
Yeah.
Porom.
We know what we're talking about. But if you have those two cards give you the ability to just kind of recycle and recycle and recycle. Just off your 3 Poroms, you get, you have now 3 additional Famfrits, or you have 3 additional Veilfors. Or if you have a Lena, now you have 6 additional. And it just takes this package of just what is probably one of the best removal spells in the game, because Select is broken. Select is broken.
It's great. It bypasses a lot.
It's everything. What doesn't it bypass?
Oh, choice.
Listen, what you do is you run.
No, Drew, just
Hildebrand.
Or
stop your janky shit. You're done.
I won't talk about other stuff, but don't get me wrong. There's a couple of cards that kind of can mess with it, but there's enough built into that deck that you still have ways around it. But you take the core of that deck and you just basically double what you can do with it from a removal standpoint, and it just does really, really good. And I think that's one of the things that why I think we've seen a Wind Water shift back to especially a mill like Jared did, specifically because of the fact that now you have the ability to super, super, super effectively keep their board clear with almost no downside from your side. And so you have to have the Riku, because the Riku becomes the win con at that point. Because now that they can't hit me for damage, I just have to make sure that they run out of cards before I do.
Yeah. Yep.
So as far as counters go, for Ice, I think we're probably going to be looking at specific cards. I think the new Rim is very good against Ice.
Yeah, Rim. Wind has always been good against Ice. Rim makes it worse.
Yeah, Rim helps quite a bit. I think Opus 8 Quina is actually pretty good against them too, because it can get really big, and then it has you can give it protection from abilities, so they have a hard time freezing it. They can't Zalera it because it costs 4. I think that card's pretty good against them. We might see. I think there might be a resurgence of mono water if the wind water list keeps being good, but I think the list needs to change a bit and run like more of the Opus 8. What's her name? Garnet.
Mm-hmm.
Because that might help a lot too.
Yeah.
Makes it so they can't valve for your team.
Yeah.
Because I was noticing in my games, it was me and Jeff were playing. I'm playing the new Gold deck, and once I was able to get huge board, it helped a lot, especially when you have like Garnet in play, because then he can't board wipe you. Because that deck's board wipe is Fina and Valfor, and if he can't do that, then going wide helps a lot, even if he's making you sacrifice.
Well, the Fina kills Garnet, so you can Valifor afterwards.
That's true, but like what happened in I think it was game 3, because you had to play Fina first, it made it real awkward for you to play I assume you had Valfor in your hand, but then you couldn't play it because you couldn't sequence it right because of her.
Yeah, I wanted to play Valifor and a Diabolos, and I was 1 CP short.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. Currently,
And also in Mono Water, they're likely to have walkout, so now she's a 6K. So
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, very interesting things. I personally think, like I agree with you. I think Earth might see some resurgence now with the mono ice and the water wind. Neil and I have been working on this deck. We've been discussing it a lot. I put it together after discussing it. Neil gave me a lot of ideas for it, and we're actually trying out. Hill Gigas is probably a centerpiece of. It's not a centerpiece, obviously, right? But
It's real good.
Is one of those cards that we don't see in play, but we are running a 3 of it currently, and it just cancels action abilities. We have Lachesis, whatever.
Larkesis or whatever.
Jesus Christ, that guy's
Monster
a mouthful.
Finder. 3-cost Earth Monster Finder.
Monster Hunter.
So that card, comes in. It can grab your Hill Gigas again. You can search for your Hill Gigas.
It costs 1,
and
so
it
he's
costs
real
1.
easy to get out.
Yeah, and it actually bypasses Garland, the Hill Gigas, right? So if you just play it, it also
It just stays tapped all the time for Garland.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's a deck that we're trying out. It's actually doing okay from what I've been playing today. I've been test playing it against Terrell, who plays the mono ice. I haven't, of course, played against this Water Winds deck, but I have played Water Wind, different, not a mill Water Wind, but just a traditional Water Wind that we've been seeing. It's doing fine against that deck too. Yeah. So it's interesting. Once we have like a final version of it, I'm sure we'll test it out and have fun with it. But Hill Gigas, I think, is doing some major work right now.
Yeah,
I can definitely see inclusion of that card. I think there could be a resurgence of like you're playing Wind Earth, right?
Wind Earth, yes.
Yeah, it's kind of fallen off with Dataluma's ban.
Yeah.
But I think there could be a resurgence of those elements, but like in a different way. Like you're running 3 Mag Sisters, 3 Vanilles.
That's exactly what we came up with. It was Calbrenna, which because of Lacarius, Calbrenna, Vanille, Magus Sisters. These things just never, it just keeps on coming back. So when they fan for it, they're using all these CP, but your forwards are still staying in place, right?
Right.
And then there's
and you can run like Maria, so that way they are good in combat too.
Well, you could do that. I have. There's Wall in there, and then there's the 4-drop Gigas. That's the one I told you to bring. That Gigas with Wall is pretty good, right? You can attack. It's a Brave 9K.
It's good with Momody too.
Yeah, it's good with Momody if you run Momody, but we're not running Momody in it yet. So we have an idea. It's to bypass these fanfrits and stuff like that, to force people to use their CP while we don't have to pay anything.
You keep your board presence.
Yeah, we keep our board presence.
Which is the important portion, because I think some of these decks, like I think Scions, I haven't tried Scions against Wind Water, but I think it has the potential to be pretty solid, only because of the fact that you have the ability to your guys have haste. And so that helps, because that's always kind of Water's key is like, I hit you, you play cards, you give me a turn to blow you up again. So haha. But because you have like the Vanilles or the Mega Sisters, they have to be double removed. And then potentially they still don't go away. And if you triple remove them, well, now you've wasted a ton of spells, and I now have forwards that you can't get rid of because you've gotten rid of most of your spells. So yay me. And I just punch you a couple of times, and it takes a couple of turns of that, and you're in good shape.
Yeah, so that could potentially be a good counter that emerges in the meta here. You could also run Rim, and Rim is good against ice, and then it would also help you with the big Gigas because you could attack and then just reactivate it.
Oh yeah, it would reactivate. Yeah.
And it can't be burnt down by Valifors.
Yeah, it can't be burnt down by Valfor, so it's just a good card anyway. So
that's actually really interesting. I haven't thought of the Rem going in there. I'm not sure if I have currently like a lot of space because
I was like saying, what space are we putting in there right now? Like
the Y'shtola obviously goes in there. It's a 3 of, right, and then the Zidane's like it goes in there, right? Like so, it's like where do we get the space? But I'm sure maybe we can find something. But yeah, that was our idea.
Yeah.
Of the counter.
I think honestly we need to find a space for Rim because I think Rim hard counters a number of decks right now that are running around like the Fire Ice deck and Ice. It's just
so
good
sometimes
getting to see it today in real action. Like I hadn't gotten to see it like really in action, and getting to see the work that it did today. I mean, it's a pseudo 9K body. If you got buffs out, it's going to take an 8K less block. Could take a couple depending on how big they are. You can buff it to be bigger, and then it just allows you to use your action abilities more often, and it gets to untap at the end of the turn. It's all upside. That card is way overperforming what I expected it would be based on expectations moving into the set.
Oh, definitely. When I saw it, I liked it. I was like, yeah, this card could be good, but it's even better than I thought it was going to be. Yeah,
that's gross.
All right. So, Jeff, we're about to end our little segment here. Jeff, do you have any closing words for us? Because you you write articles and stuff. I feel like you would have better stuff coming out of your mouth than me. So, why don't you give us a closing statement kind of a thing for our podcast, honorary.
Oh gosh, put me on the spot.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see.
I am I'm in this now. I'm honorary Team Flat Earth now. So
just say the words, Jeff.
Just say it. Just agree with me.
Your Earth is pretty round.
All right.
Thanks for joining us on today's episode of Live from Midgar. It's been a pleasure. A lot of cool tournaments recently that we've been able to talk about and discuss, and appreciate everyone for watching along.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. This is why I want him to win the season. Look at this.
And
such
Jeff,
beautiful voice.
Where can we find your articles once again?
FFTCGCrystarium.com.
Sweet deal. Check them out.
There will be a link.
Hey, there will be a
check
link.
it down.
Plugs.
Yeah. So, anyways, not only check out the Crystarium articles done by Jeff, like and subscribe to our videos because
our videos and we're now pretty regularly streaming on Twitch on Saturdays, so check us out. We're doing commentating on them.
We're commentating on them.
Yeah, us five.
There's a couple dudes.
These two
yapping.
idiots. Yeah, this idiot and this idiot. And then I think the plan is to get some stuff up on YouTube. So if you subscribe there, we got lots of content coming. So
what is our YouTube handles? What is our Twitch handles? That way we can let our viewers know.
So
there will be links.
They'll be in the description
underneath below, and you will you can look at them, click on them, like them, and subscribe to them. All that beautiful stuff. Thanks for joining us on Live from Midgar. And this has been Steve,
Jeff,
and Neil,
and Andrew.
Thanks for joining us.
Have a good day.
Bye.